alternative options are being deliberated to ensure that Iran is never able to acquire a nuclear weapon.
I wouldn't want to speak to contingency planning. I wouldn't want to speak to what we might be contemplating if the path for diplomacy towards a mutual return to compliance isn't viable in the near term. But we are discussing those alternatives. We are discussing those options with our close partners, with our close allies, and that includes with the Israelis. We have already had good discussions with the Israelis about the path forward and how we can work together to ensure that Iran is never able to acquire a nuclear weapon.
Meanwhile, during a meeting held at the Pentagon between U.S. Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin and Defense Minister Benny Gantz, the former seized the opportunity to reiterate Washington's unwavering commitment to Jerusalem's security.
As you know, the United States remains unwavering in its commitment to Israel's security, including maintaining Israel's qualitative military edge. We share Israel's deep concerns about the Iranian government's destabilizing actions, including its support for terrorism, its missile program, and its alarming nuclear advances. Mr. Minister, we are completely aligned in our commitment to preventing Iran from obtaining a nuclear weapon. This is a national security interest of the United States and Israel and the world.
Secretary Austin went on to highlight the U.S. concern over Iran's nuclear actions in recent months and highlighted the U.S. Defense Department's commitment to work with all of Washington's partners in the region to address the wide range of Iranian threats.
I'm deeply concerned about the Iranian government's nuclear actions in recent months, both its continued provocations and its lack of constructive diplomatic engagement. The President has made clear that if diplomacy fails, we are prepared to turn to other options. The Department of Defense will continue to work closely with all of our partners throughout the region, including Israel first and foremost, to ensure that we're working together to address Iranian threats. We will defend ourselves, we will defend our friends, and we will defend our interests.
Israeli Defense Minister Benny Gantz, for his part, highlighted the characteristics of the U.S.-Israel partnership, which he asserted to be founded on trust, all the while emphasizing the need to confront the Iranian threat, which is not merely an Israeli problem.
There is no stronger and more unshakable bond than that between Israel and the United States. One based on shared values, on common strategic interests, and as you yourself said, Mr. Secretary, during your visit to Israel last April, our bond is based on trust. I look forward to deepening our dialogue and cooperation vis-à-vis Iran, including the topics of joint military readiness to face Iran and to stop its regional aggression and nuclear aspiration.
Jerusalem's top defense official continued by highlighting the importance of ensuring Israel's qualitative military edge in the region, which guarantees Israel's security on the one hand and bolsters its regional standing on the other, regarded by the United States as an encouraging reality which it hopes to build upon.
I'm encouraged by our long-standing partnership and by Israel's growing new partnerships with other countries in the region. The relationships being forged today by Israel, Bahrain, the UAE, Morocco, and others open up new opportunities for shared responsibility, growing prosperity, security cooperation, and people-to-people ties. I applaud the courageous steps of countries like Morocco, where you, Minister Gantz, recently signed an historic defense memorandum that will increase intelligence sharing, research, and joint military training.